Hello and welcome to Pure Word Creations. My name is Tahira. I have a gifted journal for you today. It is a soft cover A5 size, and this is for my crafty friend Tamara Crumble. Tamara, I guess, was introduced to my journals through Renee at Renee's at It Again, and she reached out to me and she was like, "Do you accept Happy Mail?" And I was just like, "Yeah." And she sent me this huge box of amazingness, fabrics and papers and laces and trinkets and book pages and atlas pages and just a crafter's dream box, right? And so I had it in my mind to make a journal as a thank you for her. And that's been months ago. And I finally had the time and the mojo, I guess, to create this journal for her. Um, and here's the front. There is a fabric closure, and this closure is made out of, you can actually see the design here. And this was gifted to me, the fabric was gifted to me by Renee at Renee's at It Again, and I rust dyed it. And since I didn't want to compete with what's going on the front, I wrap it around with the backside showing. And here is the front of the cover, the front cover without the closure. These buttons were gifted to me by my friend's mom, who used to have a dry cleaning business. And this is rice paper from Stamperia. And I've stitched all around it, three different kinds of machine stitching. This is a pocket, and this is made with some, I think it was starch linen that Tamara had sent me. There's some fabric here, like a yellowish color that Renee had gifted me, and then this lace that I think Tamara gifted me as well. And it's the back side of it because I really wanted the texture of that. And this journal is a combination of industrial meets nature, I guess. Tamara's style incorporates a lot of metals and um, she likes trains and things like that, cars. And so I wanted to represent that without actually using metal. So hopefully that makes sense. On the spine is canvas on stone paper. This is made out of stone paper. Um, Canvas on stone paper, and then I painted the canvas with some bronze acrylic paint, and it wasn't the right color, and so I added some silver acrylic paint, and that brought me to a color that was more on the lines of this button and these parts of the rice paper. Okay. And then this is some lace that Tamara sent me. She actually had a video where she was like, "I still have a lot in my stash, even though I've gifted quite a bit." And this was still in her stash. And was like, I have this, but I don't know how to really use it." And then I said, "Well, I use it all the time." And this is one way that I've used it. I've used some matte gel medium to adhere it, and it really gives a beautiful effect. And then on the back is that same starch linen. It was stark white when she gifted it to me, and I rust dyed it, and it came out so beautifully. And this impression here, I'll show you exactly how that came about. Um, it was basically these two pieces of paper that were laid on top here. Excuse the jostling of the camera. Um, and it left that impression. So it came out really cool. All right, let's go inside. And Tamara, if the journal feels stiff, because it's freshly made, just bend back the spine. It can take it, you know. Anyway, all right. So the end papers is this gorgeous paper by Rosemary Morris, her eco dyed and boil paper, and that's just backed on craft text, and you can actually see some of it showing out there. And this is some burlap trim from Dollar Tree, and the spine, the signatures are sewed into a denim fabric. And I originally wanted the signatures to start with my rust dyed papers. I've been rust dyeing papers and been having a good time. And I wanted the signatures to start with it, but then I realized, oh, I just put down this, burlap trim, and it kind of cumbersome for the first few pages to write on. So I didn't want to have a floating writing board or anything like that. So I just put two scrapbook pages together, um, and made like a pseudo cover for the first signature and the last signature, and just used rust dyed masking tape and washi tape on the inside. And this is Capital Sheet Designs scrapbook paper, and this is Prima. And here's that map washi. And yeah, so this is my rust dyed paper, and those impressions are from actual rusted metal that I've just found on my um, neighborhood walks. Looking down, I've never looked down so much. Hunting for rusted metal, but it's been really great. You see a lot that's on the ground. Here's some graph paper. Here's just like a notebook paper with, the days of the week and date at the top. I know that Tamara likes elephants, and so this is a calendar page with an elephant image. And then on the back, I've just washi taped in some of my rust dyed paper, and that can flip out. I wanted to have this journal be more about the papers than the ephemera that I had curated for her. So I left the ephemera out, and I'm going to gift that separately in a bag. And I'll show you some of it later, but I wanted the papers to really shine. This is some ledger paper from a ledger that I got at my local antique shop. And when you fold it, it's quite it 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 needs help. So I did washi tape the crease before sewing it in, and this is also folded. But Tamara, you're welcome to just rip that and use this piece elsewhere if it becomes more fragile. This is some avocado dye paper from Renee. Here's a little baggie, and there's just papers in here. Some classic-y stationery, some Japanese papers. This is graph. This is some Japanese like stamping paper. There are a lot of tourist attractions, and at their train stations and subway stations, they have stamping stations where you can stamp where you've been. So here are two of those. And this is some graph paper that's perforated in the middle. Okay. And that just all goes in here. Some extra paper clips. This is some beautiful children's manuscript paper that I got from Teresa at Asseret Studio. I didn't even want to stamp in here. I wanted her to enjoy the papers and, have her imagination run wild while working in it. So I didn't even want to stamp anything right on the pages. So I stamped on tags. Here's a little jar tag. This is Rosemary Morris's eco printed paper. This leaf impression is beautiful. Here's my rust dye paper with that impression. See even better on the back here. Here's some Nepalese Lokta paper from Paper Connection. More of my rust dye paper. And this is packing paper. It's beautiful though. It beautifully dyes. Here's some yellow paper from Field Notes. Paper that I got on my tour from Tuesday morning. Washi tape. Here is a coloring page. These children frolicking in nature. Here is some washi tape from Cookie Sticker Co. And there's some more of this later on in the journal that'll be a little clearer. Here's another stamped image on this tag. This is from Ebony's Moon. This is an eco-dyed vellum from Rosemary Morris, and the colors were really perfect. There's this green that matches that green, and then that purple is beautiful there. And here's one of my rust-dyed papers, a piece of it. I used a stencil. More of my rust dye paper. I actually put a lot of my rust dye paper in here because Tamara was the first person that I showed my results of my rust dye, my first results of my rust dyeing to. So I wanted to put a lot of that in here. And here's some painted canvas. And the charm is a sewing machine. Tamara is a wonderful seamstress. So I wanted to represent that in here. Just the back sides of those papers. The bag is empty. I got some office stamps, those, like self-inking office stamps. I love those things. And here's one of them. I just stamped it on this craft card. Here's a fabric pocket. The fabric is from Renee. I just sewed that onto a piece of file folder to make this pocket. This is also from a creative reuse shop. It's a blue graph, and it says the Future Architect's Toolkit. Keeping with that industrial theme. Loose theme. Here's the back of that first signature. Here's the start of the second signature, and this is rusted and eco-dyed using some flower petals, dry flower petals that I was gifted years ago actually. They were really packaged up nicely, so they were preserved well. But yeah, I finally brought them out. Thank you, Jamie, for gifting those to me. I don't think I would have even tried doing that in that way without, just having that bag of dried flowers in my stash. Here's another ledger paper page. That one I found at a creative reuse shop in Denver. And this is kind of like a cross between vellum and tracing paper, and it has this really cool light purple grid on there. Here is a Tim Holtz stamp of a dress form, and this paper was out of a paper pack that I bought at the Scrap Exchange in North Carolina, where Lynn of A Bit of Birdsong works. And I bought this and another item that's in here, along with some buttons and some seam binding and probably some other things. This paper is a beautiful paper I bought from Blick. Um, the band members of the musical that I was touring with, um, when I left the tour, they got me a Blick card, a gift card. So I bought some yummy things from Blick, and that's one of them. Here's some watercolor paper. Here's some dyed glassine from Magdalena, a Fat Pickle Studio. This graph paper I also got at a creative reuse shop in Boise, I believe. This is some of Rosemary Morris's eco-dyed paper. As I said before, Tamara likes trains. I happen to find this in my stash, that paper. And this colored line paper was gifted to me by Teresa of Asseret Studio. I've had this bag from a bookstore in Evanston, Illinois for years. Oh my gosh. It has to have been at least 8 to 10 years that I've had this bag. Um, and it finally found a home. And inside of that side of the bag are just some cut-offs. Here's some handmade paper from the Village Papermaker. This is a cutoff from one of Magdalena's uh, printed Cardi papers. This is some ledger I got from Renee. Um, this is also from Magdalena, the dyed glassine that you saw before. And here's one of my rusted papers. I'll put that in there later. Okay. And here is another rust dyed paper, packing paper. I didn't want to cut this off, so I folded it. And this is the book page with Wangari Maathai. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry. And the quote is, "The time is now." Here's the illustrator, Tandue Shabalala. And I'm sure I'm not saying that right either. And this book page had a little blemish. But I just felt like Tamara's not going to care about that. The image is going to speak for itself. And I'm probably going to cover this side of the page at some point before I mail it off to her. I've been having fun rust dyeing, y'all. It's been really cool. And these metal pieces, like I said, have just been from walks, neighborhood walks. I know that Tamara likes butterflies. This is a book page. She has plenty of space to write. And that was gifted to me by Cameron of Lotus and Nightshade. It says, "Our souls touch, our hearts fill, our bodies meet, and we are one, complete, allness." And I know Tamara is a poet as well, so I wanted to put items in here, that reflected her poetry. Here is a burlap tab, and I have a charm here. It is a coal miner's script token, and I got this from eBay years ago. I was playing a show called October Sky, just like the film, and it's about coal miners, and I was scrapbooking at the time and wanted to have some items, um, that represented the coal miners. And so these little tokens were given to coal miners as payment, or in lieu of payment, and they could be traded in at the company store to buy goods. I thought Tamara would get a kick out of that. Watercolor paper. These are just the back sides of the papers. This blemish was already here in that paper. Here is a stamped tag. The tag is from Lynn. The stamp is from Ebony's Moon, and it's a definition of diaspora. And here's the back side of the second signature. I know I should have scanned these before I put these in here, but I knew I was not going to take the time to scan while I was being in the creative groove. I knew. So I'm not mad. Here's another rust dye paper. Of course, this is from a different batch. This is when the rust water sat longer, and gave a darker color. This paper is, I guess they call it the fly papers or something like that, from a book on a Bengali folktale that was also gifted to me by Cameron. This is some green handmade paper. The color's probably off on camera. From the Village Papermaker. This was gifted to me by Renee, and it has a pocket on. Here's another one of those self-inking office stamps, and that says file, and that's just on the. And this is just a blank card for Tamara to play with. Here's some tracing paper, and this page is out of a book that Cameron also gifted me. It's kind of semi-glossy, but I did, write on it, or write on another page of it to check it out to see if it's, and I think Tamara uses ballpoint pens and that'll work just fine. This is a Fold'em album sleeve. It's pockets on both sides. Here's another one of my rusty papers. Here is a digital by Marine Astrid, staff or music sheet paper. And I've made a pocket out of the paper from Mexico that Renee gets at a flea market, and I lined it with some of my rust dyed paper. It's the same, kind of the same color, the inside of this Mexican paper and the rust dyed, and that's empty. This is an aged envelope that I got at the scrap exchange, and you'll see the front of it on the other side as to why I got it. It's beautifully aged and patinaed. And I've just put on this little fold one of my eco-dyed papers and rust dyed. And this is empty. And when you write on these, pages on either side of the envelope, just make sure it's kind of folded out so that won't be a hindrance. This page is also out of that book from Cameron. I just love that image. It seemed right next to this rust dyed and eco dyed tracing paper, and that I did. Yep. Here is a book page from a book that Renee gifted me. Tamara and I have had many virtual conversations about music and about other tools that just heal the human spirit. That is like a branch with some leaves. You can't really see it, but that's the impression on that paper. So I wanted to have some musical items in here. Here's another Tim Holtz stamp. Here's the other side of that envelope that I got at the scrap exchange, and this is what was printed on it. And again, that's a pocket, a top loading pocket. Here's a light purple graph paper and one of Renee's avocado eyelet trims, avocado-dyed. And here's some 16th notes as a charm. Here's the other side. That Mexican paper on the pocket. I know that Tamara likes tucks and pockets and places to put things that not necessarily she wants to show everybody in her journal, like us all, I guess. Here is one of those Discover card junk mail mailers. I have put some scrapbook paper, some washi tape, some of Lynn Channing's label stickers that can be written on, and I've stitched around it, and I put one of my rusty papers inside. I'll put that back later. Here's the other side of that rusty paper. Here's the other side of the photo album sleeve, and I just put some of this paper, this natural fiber paper, inside. Here's a better part of, you can see the Cookie Sticker Co. washi tape better here. More of my rust dyed paper. Here is another Tim Holtz stamp. Here is some amate paper from Mexico that I got at Paper Connection. And here's a flash card that says make. I think I got that from a Creative Review shop. Either Creative Review shop or from Renee or from, yeah, I think I got that from Renee. Here's the back side. And I did the same thing with the writing, kind of the pseudo writing board. This is Capital Chic Designs paper. And this is paper from Basic Gray. And here's some more Cookie Sticker Co. washi. This is Rosemary Morris's eco-dyed paper that I've adhered to a piece of coffee-dyed file folder that Renee did. And this is how the closure is attached. All right. So the way that I close it, I go from the front over, the front over, and then you can tie it however way you like. I mean, it can be tied that way. I do like a double thingy, so it sits like that. And here is the Happy Mail bag of ephemera and stickers and all kinds of goodies and things in here. I'll show you some of the things. I know that it's already running long. Like I said, I know that Tamara likes, maybe I haven't mentioned it yet. Tamara likes, like the old men in suits, or like photos of men in suits and book pages. So this is by Dawood Bey. It's a photograph card. I know she does a lot of thrifting of books. I think that's from Studio Calico. Here's some Project Life cards that I got from Teresa. One says love and the other says faith. Here are some postcards from Bold Black or Brave Black First postcard set. Sojourner Truth and Ruby Bridges. Here is a card that I got on my travels of Fannie Lou Hamer, civil rights activist. And here is a woodworking piece by Gabriel Ajayi, and it's a greeting card. So that's just a portion of what's in the bag. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a beautiful week. Take care.